Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and you have found the place. We talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law. Give us a call, why don't you? 616-774-2424. That's area code 616-774-2424. We got a hat tip to our board producer, board operator, whatever you want to call him. The man who makes it happen, John Ilke, he got rid of that echo. It sounded like the Grand Canyon in here. I know the quality that you heard at home, you didn't even notice it, right? That's because we're that professional. But thankfully, John has fixed that. Anyway, long story short, are we going to hell in a handbasket? You darn tootin' we are. So what are we going to do about it? Well, what does the middle class always do about it? Hunker down and make it happen. That's what we do about it. One of the things that if you accept, if you understand, if you realize, I mean, do I have to convince anyone that prices are going up? I mean, is that a thing? Is that not a thing? All right. See, here's how I look at it. Prices going up. There seems to be, targeting of Supreme Court justices because of the decisions they made. Unprecedented. And it doesn't seem like the people who are supposed to be running interference for those folks are doing so. I mean, it's all, if you think it's all political, you're probably right about that. So we got that, we got that going on. And what do high prices mean? Prices going up and sort of this disintegration. The things that you thought you could count on, turns out maybe you can't. Well, I mean, am I not describing what's happening? And then you say, well, okay, well, what does prices like that mean? Well, most of us, seasoned citizens, are not buying new homes, right? Most of us, anyway. That's younger people are doing that. People who are working, people who are trying to start families. Middle class kids, younger people, right? That's who it's falling on. It seems like to me. Everybody knows that when interest rates go up, then prices got to come down. Then people turn from buyers and owners to renters. Everybody, I mean, if you look back, I mean, wasn't one of the main sources of wealth that you had? That one of the things that got you through was that you bought a house, right? You were paying it off, and lo and behold, the price of the house kept going up. Well, whether you did a home equity line of credit to buy a car, which a lot of folks did, in order to get the deduction on the interest, and it was a lower interest rate, and you could deduct it, which you can't do with an auto loan, right? And auto loans go out for what, 30 years now? Isn't that crazy? I mean, whoever thought? Remember when auto loans were all 2 years? And now they're like 6 years, 7 years. It's unbelievable. And people just roll them over. Well, when you have a house and the house is going up in value, well, now you can do a home equity line of credit. You can, you've got some options, and the interest is deductible. Well, the kids aren't doing that anymore because it's not available to them anymore, right? I mean, is that a surprise? Right? And then this is the thing I love. It's like, oh, it'll be okay. Don't you love it? It'll be okay. Gas prices are only 2.5 times what they used to be, so let's have a celebration about that one. Okay? If you remember, last 4th of July, they were celebrating that the cost of a picnic for a family of 4 went down by like 16 cents. This year it's up by $10, and it's like, oh, well, that's okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. Seriously. And they don't want you to do anything about it. This is what are we trying to accomplish with all this estate planning? A lot of folks think, and I would say most folks, and by folks I mean attorneys, most financial planners, attorneys, most people involved in the whole estate planning thing, for them, estate planning is about what do we do with the stuff when you're dead? That's what it's about. Avoid probate, save taxes, get it to the kids. Now, it doesn't work. What most people tell you to do doesn't work. Okay. Faithful listeners already know that. But that's not even the point. Even if it did work, even if you did avoid probate safety, you'd be dead. You'd be broke anyway. Because why? Because long-term care. That's why. Everybody wants to ignore it. Social Security. Why do we have Social Security? Because people need income. That's why. When you retire, you need income, right? We need to provide a basic, subsistence level of income. If you worked for 30, 40 years, right, you shouldn't be living in the gutter. That's Social Security. Oh, and by the way, you should also have access to health care. That's Medicare, right? Your tax dollars at work. They don't make you go broke all over again. They don't make you go broke to get Medicare, right? Your health care. And they don't make you go broke to get your Social Security, right? It's not like, you need a bypass? Come back and see me when you get $2,000. Now think about it. They don't do that, okay? Why do they do it with long-term care? Because that's what they do. I think it has to do with voting myself. When you're first eligible for Social Security and Medicare, you've got another 20 years of voting going on. When you need long-term care, we got maybe 3 years left. That's what the statistics are anyway. 3 to 5 years. I just think they're writing people off, and because they can politically, right? Now it's different. Now you got to sell whatever you've got. Now you got to spend everything down. You can't help your family. You can't help your spouse, except to a very limited extent. That's what's going on. That's what this is about. And when you get into an inflationary time like this, it's all the more important, seems like to me, all the more important that you save what you've got, you conserve what you've got to build up your family, to build up your own personal situation for yourself, for your spouse, for your family. That's what this is about. You've been listening to The David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and we talk about exactly how to do that here on The David Carrier Show. Welcome back to The David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, still David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Now's the time to give us a call, area code 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. And you can also drop me an email, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. More than happy to get the emails. Love to get the emails. At least the nice ones. It's funny. I got an email. This was a while ago. I don't know if it's I don't know how hard or easy it is to tell that this is I've been at it for almost 20 years. I really don't know how many years we've been at it. But pretty much what you see is what you get, with the radio show. So if and I get this frequently from folks who say, I feel like I know you, kind of thing, after listening on the radio. Well, as a matter of fact, you pretty much do. You can't do 2 hours a week for as long as I've done it and fake it. You know what I mean? To me, in a microphone is pretty much what it is. Supported with my producer and board operator, who's doing such a great job. But that's pretty much what it is. I mean, I don't have an agenda. So if you think you have some idea how I think about things from the show, you're quite right. It's not scripted. But anyway, the point was, and sometimes I feel a little bad about that. I feel like, I owe people more than kind of, here's what I've been thinking about for the last week. I should be more structured. And the great thing was one of these emails, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. So go ahead and send me one. I love it. It was very actually sort of a very complimentary is how I viewed it, because he claimed that this was all a put on. This was all you have this persona, that's very carefully crafted and structured. And I'm like, man, on the one hand, yeah, I'm a fraud and a phony. I get that's what you're saying. On the other hand, somebody who thought I put that much work into it is like, well, you take the rough with the smooth, right? I mean, that was pretty. I thought that was pretty complimentary. The idea that I actually created this persona and then stuck with it for almost 20 years. It's at least 15. It's at least 15. And trying to figure out when we first did this. First started out down at Holland's hometown station. And then, and here we are. Anyway, drop me an email. We'd love to get the emails. We'll view it positively no matter what you say. Or you can just go to the website, davidcarrierlaw.com. Very excited about the website. It's new and improved. Still got tons of information on it, but it should, please God, should be a lot faster than it used to be. All new technology kind of behind the scenes there. It should be a better experience than it has been. Still a work in progress, of course, but at least my understanding is that the new guts, the new behind the screen stuff is working. Very frustrating, I know, for a lot of folks with our old technology website, where it took a very long time to load and everything. It should be much snappier now. One hopes. Anyway, 616-774-2424 if you want to get your question, comment, or concern on the air. Now, the question is, in the face of Armageddon, and is it Armageddon? I don't know. You tell me. Is 20% food inflation Armageddon? Where some ridiculous percentage, you know what potash is? P-O-T-A-C-H, potash? It goes into fertilizer. And it's a ridiculous amount of fertilizer comes out of Russia and Ukraine and over there. Now, why don't we mine potash here like we used to? Well, environmental, whatever. But it's like, I forget if the number was 90% or 80%. Hey, listen, it could be 40%. Who knows? Big percentage. And that's what goes into fertilizer. Okay? Now, they don't dig it out of the ground over in Russia or wherever it is they're getting it from and put it in the ground in this growing season. That doesn't happen, right? They wait till next, it takes a while. They got to process the stuff and put it in bags and move it here and there and all the rest. So we're talking about lead time, producer inflation, all right? So hopefully, and you talk to some farmers and the prices of fertilizer just ridiculous. I was just talking to a client who rents out land for a fellow who runs a cattle operation. And they're talking about, well, not sure we can, it's more of a hobby for the guy. It's not his main job, not his main business. But it was one of those things he did on the side. Well, the fertilizer now, just for the pasture, is so expensive that doesn't know if he can, like $40,000 for a relatively small amount, relatively small acreage for the cattle. How are you going to make that work? Okay, well, so what's happening now, and you might see sort of a little bit of relief in prices on livestock because the farmers, the ranchers are looking down, the pig farmers and the ranchers are looking down the road and saying, I can't afford to feed these things, right? Time to get what I can out of them. And so it looks like there might be sort of a glut on the market, where a lot of smaller steers, smaller pigs are going, instead of hogs, going to market, right? Because they can't afford to feed them. Well, that's going to depress the prices. That's going to lower the prices of that stuff for a while because of the market. But look down the road. Look down the road. All right? What if those cattle aren't around anymore, right? And they're not replacing them. So then what? Then what? Prices are going to skyrocket. They're already doing that with, as I say, for the inputs, the things that go into making things. The prices are almost double what the price is at the store. So if you look at the prices at the store and you think this is bad, well, what's going to happen when the cost of making the stuff, which is doubled or almost doubled, works its way through? You know what I mean? I mean, the inflation rate is double. I'm not saying it's 100% inflation. It's more like 18% generally in the producer price index. That's what we're looking at. So what can you do about it? Well, one of the things you can do is say, okay, how does that affect me personally? Well, everyone's got to eat, okay? I don't have a solution for that. Buy a freezer, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that one. But what I've seen, and I deal with the long-term care primarily. That's my main focus, okay, is trying to figure out how to keep people from going broke due to long-term care. How do you do that? And the market forces that you've seen, right? When they're paying $30,000 a year to work at McDonald's, it's pretty tough to find somebody who's just hanging around, willing to take, that's $15 an hour plus, right, to go work at a restaurant. Well, it's pretty hard to find somebody who wants to empty bedpans for $5 an hour or $10 an hour, and I don't think anyone appreciated, I think I appreciated, but I don't think most people appreciated the degree to which neighborhood people, the lady from church or whoever, was providing a very important segment of the long-term care. It was people, it was family members doing it, who were filling in. It was people in the neighborhood who were filling in. Okay, well, that's not happening anymore. The demographics have changed, right? People aren't having the big families anymore. How many people do you know? How many of your kids, right? How many of your kids are having more than one child, more than two children, right? If you see a family of four, a family of five, oh my goodness, that's a, museum piece, right? So the family members aren't around to provide the support. The people in the neighborhood aren't around to provide the support. And so now, more than ever, and it's always been a problem, 32 years, it's been a problem. I mean, at least as long as I've been doing this stuff, working in this area. But it's just getting worse. And this whole COVID thing, and now this crazy inflation, it's just, we've gone from okay, you can see what's happening, and yep, it's working its way out. I mean, that's the way I looked at it. But COVID just slammed on the gas, pedal to the metal as far as this stuff goes. These developments that I expected to take years are happening in months now. And now when you look down the road and you see what's happening in terms of prices and what have you, the affordability is right out the window in terms of what people can do on their own without going broke. It's just right out the window. And how you respond to that is going to be very important, I think going forward. Give us a call, why don't you? 616-774-2424, area code 616-774-2424. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and this is the place where we talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law. So give us a call, why don't you? 774-2424, area code 616-774-2424. We'll get your question, comment, or concern on the air. So, yeah, I mean, we're facing tough times. There's no question about that. The inflation's going nuts. You can see it at the store, and worse is coming in the pipeline. How do we know this? Because we look at not only inflation, consumer inflation, which is inflation at the store, but we also look down the road. We also look at what they call the producer price index, which means the prices that are coming, the prices for the stuff that go into the stuff that eventually you buy in the store. That's what that's about. And it's about almost two times, the producer price index is almost two times what the consumer price index is. And now understand, there's all kinds of indexes out there. There's the energy index is like 40%, or 50%, something like that. There are different indexes, okay? I'm just looking at the top line ones for goods. But it's easy to find them. Just go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If you think I'm overstating the case, well, like I say, just check out the numbers. And we can have that conversation. I'm more than happy to. So what is it? What can we do about it? And it seems to me that the answer is prepare to preserve what you have. Right? I mean, one of my things we've said for years is, it's all about preserving what you own to protect what you value. Well, what's important to you? I'm not here to tell you what's important to you. You already know that. That's fine. Right? I'm not here to tell you that you should get a second job or deliver pizzas or anything else. You've already done that. You've lived that part of your life. To me, and this is just my way of looking at it is my observation, put it that way, over 32 years. I didn't come to this last week. Is that what breaks middle class folks is long-term care. That's what breaks you. Because we already took care of income, Social Security, your tax dollars at work. That's what Social Security is about. It's tax dollars going to the folks who can't work anymore, who aren't working anymore, retired, right? And making sure they don't go broke. That's what it's about. It's about providing that safety net. And same way with Medicare. Medicare is the way that we make sure that if you need a bypass or a hip or a knee or whatever else, you're going to get it. Now, of course, both of these programs, which you, as a middle-class taxpayer, you're the one supporting these. I mean, that's not a surprise, is it? Right? That it's the middle class who's paying for all this. And you've been so good at it, you've worked so hard, and you've paid so much in taxes that it was irresistible to the politicians to start rating it for all kinds of other stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of money that goes out of Social Security that has nothing to do with retirement, with what it was intended for. Okay, if you would actually trim back some of the stuff, some of the crazy stuff that they're spending the money on, we'd be in a lot better position. But we're not, because politicians, if they see the money lying there, they're going to spend it on somebody. They're going to buy some votes with it. That's what they've been doing with Medicare. That's what they've been doing with Social Security for a very long time. Okay, that's the deal, right? But still in all, if you need a bypass, thank goodness we got Medicare, right? Thank goodness the Social Security check, the Social Security deposit shows up in your direct deposit account every month. Thank goodness for that. Well, you paid in and you're getting some payback on it, right? You're also paying for a whole bunch of other people who never paid in. That's another story. But so you can make it, right? But the question is, what's the problem? The problem is long-term care. Government says on average, folks will need, if you're 65, now the older you get, the greater the percentage, right? But 70% of folks at age 65, or 70% of the folks who are 65, be precise about it, will need, on average, 3 years of skilled nursing care. Now, in what context? Could be at home, could be in nursing home, could be assisted living, but on average, 3 years of skilled nursing services. And a big chunk of people, 20% they say, is going to need it for 5 years or more. Okay, well, how are we paying for that? The answer is by paying everything, every last nickel you've got. Now, it used to be that, and I'm not talking ancient history here either, I'm talking the last several years, used to be that you could count on your family for a lot of that. Okay, now you tell your kids in a situation where there's 10% food inflation, right? And worse is coming, where interest rates have doubled, right? You remember interest rates? It wasn't that long ago, months ago, interest rates were around 2%. They're over 5% now. 2.5 times it costs that much more now in the interest rate side of it to buy a house. The cost of buying a house, according to some of these folks, is up 70%. Okay, big numbers. I'm not a computer head, but I can read the numbers, and you can see that it's becoming unaffordable. So how are your kids, when they're paying 10% more just for groceries, how are they supposed to care for you? How's that supposed to happen? Are they supposed to give up the job, the second job? What about their own family? Now, how's all that supposed to work? You see, there's a cascade effect on this. Right? It's an avalanche when things that affect one person affect the next, and on down the road. So not only are the people who used to provide these services either for free or at very low cost, they're not around anymore. Wake up. Look around. They're not around. And the people who are providing the services can get what they used to get. I mean, $15 an hour used to be a pretty good wage. Not anymore, right? How are we paying that? How is that happening? How are we getting people into long-term care facility to provide long-term care? It's tough. It's very difficult. It's very expensive, more expensive than it has ever been. I mean, even the government admits that it's $10,000 a month at a skilled nursing facility, and they always underestimate. So, you're looking at $12,000 to $15,000 a month for skilled nursing. That's what you're looking at. And if you want at-home care, it's even more expensive. How do we deal with all this? That's what we're here for. That's what we've been doing for the last 30 years. And it just seems to me that it's more important than ever. And now with the recession coming in, it's just going to, that's just, I don't know, it just seems like front and center to me, especially where family resources, being able to provide a step stool for that next generation. Listen, for years I've said, screw the kids. You've heard me say that a million times. Screw the kids, screw the kids. Focus on you. I'm not backing off of that. I think that's the process. That's the progression. You got to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. But given the way things are going, the importance of a legacy, the importance of leaving something to the kids, seems like, to me, more important than ever. I mean, does it make sense to go broke in long-term care? Does it make sense if you could provide a step stool for that next generation, to yank the step stool out, to say, hey, I'm just going to spend it all down? Does it make sense to plan ahead? Does it make sense to preserve what you have to protect the ones that you love? Does that make sense? A lot of people blow it off. I think it's crucial. What do you think? Give us a call, 616-774-2424. Drop me an email, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Hello, and welcome to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and you have found the place where we talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law. If you have a question, a comment, or concern about wills, trusts, or probate, or just the general sad state of the world these days, now's the time to give us a call, 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. And don't be complaining about its long distance, because nobody does long distance anymore. Even your flip phone has has unlimited long distance calling. Do you remember that? That was the thing. Long distance. Remember you had to wait till after, was it 8 o'clock at night on Sunday before you could call family members? Yeah. Well, that's a thing of the past. So, one of the great things about having that little computer there, that flip phone or whatever, you can call me. 774, area code 616-774-2424. Just to recap the first hour, world's going to hell in a handbasket. Inflation's crazy. And long-term care is not going to be there for you except at extremely high, exorbitant, terrible, even worse than your attorney fees rates. Okay? That's what we're talking about the first hour. The only thing you can do is plan ahead for it. And the good news is if you do plan ahead for it, then you'll be fine. Sad fact is most people don't. And I've got an email right here from a family that did not. So here's the question. Parents passed away in 2018, so this is 4 years ago. They were in nursing home. Medicaid and Medicare took all their savings, not unusual, and we had to sell the house. Again, not unusual. Dad had 2009 car. Okay, so this is a car now that's, 13 years old. 13 years old, was old then, is old now. But my name was on the insurance also to drive him around. Car's paid off. My daughter, in other words, granddaughter, in charge of the estate, in other words, to settle up the nursing home bills, I guess, got new license plate stickers through the mail every year. The last year, Bureau would not send one, saying they had no information on Dad. Well, obviously, because Dad's passed, right? He's passed for 3 years now. Anyway, I told daughter we have to put the car in my name, son's name, but she thinks we'll be in trouble. Medicaid or whoever would press charges on her and take the car that is rusty. Would they? Who's correct? Her or me? Any advice would be good. Well, now here's the thing. In most states, 43 out of 50 states, daughter would be correct. Daughter would be right, because when you apply for Medicaid, this is what sucked up all the other assets. When you apply for Medicaid, then there's a lien on all your property, including property that you own in your name, including the motor vehicle. In Michigan, However, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, Texas, North Carolina, a few other states do not put a lien on the property right away. They wait till it goes through probate. And the good news is that you can go to Secretary of State with the title, right, and get the thing put over into your name. In fact, it's a very good thing that you do that. Should do it immediately, because insurance would probably decline coverage in a case where the thing was, and I hesitate to say fraudulently registered, but it was. I mean, Dad's been dead, and you're registering the car in the name of somebody who's dead. You can't do that. You can't do that. Insurance ain't going to pay for that, right? I mean, how are you going to sign dead dad's name to the insurance? I mean, come on. Smell the coffee, right? So anyway, you should go to Secretary of State, transfer it over. Because you avoided probate, you avoided estate recovery. They're not going to come after you for it. All right? Easy answer. We've got Coral on the line. Good morning, Coral. Welcome to the David Carrier Show.
Good morning, Dave. My father's current struggles with his estate planning got me thinking, and listening to the show this morning. At what point should us younger folks, I'm just turned 50, my wife's 3 years younger than I am, at what point should we start making plans for our estate? We have one daughter and have a will, but haven't done anything further than that. Yeah,
really good question. So you're going to be surprised to learn that I think as soon as possible, right? I really do think that way. I mean, when your kids go to college, if you don't have powers of attorney on your kids, it's your kids are going to decide whether or not you get to see their grades. Okay, so there are different needs throughout the whole gamut. How old, could I ask? How old is your daughter?
She's 20.
Okay, so we've pretty much, she's past the age of majority. You've pretty much made it that far, so we don't have to worry about guardian for her at this point.
Right.
However, dumping money on a 20-year-old is probably a bad idea. So when we've got kids who are younger, the focus is not so much on you and your wife. It's pretty much on the kids. Is really where we focus, because like for your parents' estate plan, right? If they mess it all up, if they do a terrible, like these people who spend everything on the nursing home and everything got taken except for a rusty old 2009 car, right? Well, life goes on, okay? They messed it up. It could have been different. They could have, they could have had a lot more options. They could have left something for the kids, for you, in this email. They could have done it, but they didn't. Just sad, waste of time. But they lived their life. These are choices that affect them primarily. When you have younger kids, for whom you are responsible, dumping money on them at young ages is disastrous. I mean, it's not about you. It's not about your money. It's about what have you done for or to your kids when you could have provided better. So when you've got kids who are still younger, and 20 is younger, then you're thinking, okay, let's make sure I don't screw up the kids. How do I keep, and they've got you down as Coral. Is that your name?
Carl, C-A-R-L.
Carl.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I have some clients who are named Coral, but they're all women. And you don't sound like Carl. Got it. Okay, good. The question is, how do I keep Carl's daughter off the stripper pole? You know what I mean? I mean, if you and your wife die and you dump money on the kid, well, 6 months later, she's broke. She's got some diseases she can't get over. And, yikes. So obviously less likely that you'll die than your parents will die, right? Less likely. Right. But the consequences, it seems like to me, are greater. So, and you don't have to do the whole schmear like we do with your folks, because, they're more in the way of footsteps. So there are things that are appropriate for every age, whether you're heading off to college, whether you've got kids with minor children. And here's the other thing that for us, the asset protection part is a big deal. You've earned it. let's not blow it out the door if there's a lawsuit or something like that. Which, of course, there are no more lawsuits because everybody in America these days gets along. You've probably noticed this, right? Everybody happy with each other, So don't worry about lawsuits; those never happen, But that's where I would say, as soon as you're thinking about it, that's a good time, because not everything's appropriate for everybody, and there is no question that there's an age component to it, right? But like a lot of folks your age that we work with, they've got a side gig, they've got a rental property, they've got something else like that going on. Okay, you need to do additional stuff for that, but just regular folks. It's a good time to get in. You protect the house. You put things in place, right, that are appropriate for where you're at, what your situation is, and the fact of the matter is that everyone's situation kind of unique. What appeals to you, what makes sense for you, what might not make sense for someone else who looks very much like you on paper, but you get into the conversation, and this is why we do the workshops, right? So we say, okay, here are the options, and then after the workshop, we always have it's a free consultation. We budget 2 hours just to sit. If it doesn't take that long, it doesn't. But to sit down with you and just what's important to you. I mean, we got all this legal stuff. I don't know if any of this makes any sense to you. I don't know if this meets any of the needs that you have. But that's the process. So, coming to a workshop would not. The one thing I can promise, coming to a workshop, doing the consult, it won't be a waste of time. We're not there to waste anybody's time. And and those stories about us taking your keys and not giving them back, we stopped that weeks ago. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'll see you at a workshop. How about that? Thank you, Carl. You betcha. You're listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Now's the time for you to give us a call, 616-774-2424. Carl had a great question there. The question is, when do we start planning? And the fact of the matter is that at different ages, right, you have different concerns. One of the things that we do to preserve assets is planning for the long-term care. In other words, you're going to qualify for Social Security, right? You just live long enough. You're going to qualify for Medicare. The question is, why is Medicaid, which is the long-term care part of it, why is that so different than Social Security and Medicare? Why is it so different? Look, here's my short and short of it. And again, this is not. I didn't stumble into the government archives and find out, oh, this is what they have in mind. This is just more of a sort of watching how things work for the last 30 years or so. Is and I got to tell you, as we say in the intro, worked at the Pentagon as an Army JAG. Well, one of the things that you pick up pretty quick when you're working in D.C. is that not everything is as it seems. Okay, you might think that the purpose of the military is to win the land war, the Army, anyways, to win the land war, right? I mean, that's what I grew up on. I mean, that's what they keep telling you. Win the land war. Well, okay, good enough. Defend the continental United States and project power. Okay, that's the idea. But win the land war. That is not how government looks at it. Okay, that is not how Congress looks at it. To Congress, it's a spring of money. It's a geyser of money. And the question is, how can they get as much money for their district as possible? And winning the land war is really, at best, the secondary consideration. Are you with me on this? Right? So if you're a congressperson, yeah, it's a good idea to fund the military, fund the Army anyway, so that we can win the land war. That's important. That's a good thing. Okay, they're all in favor of winning the land war. But they're more interested immediately in getting money for their district. And so it's and believe me, I was not involved in these things personally. I was just observing. So when the generals go to, bend the knee and plead for dollars, right? Military effectiveness is not, well, it's the language that they use, okay? But that's not what's really going on, okay? I mean, just when you look at it. So when you look at how these programs work, you have to realize that they were put together by politicians for politicians to perpetuate the politicians. That's what they're there for. I mean, that's how they really work. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't other motives. Winning the land war is important, okay? I mean, I think most of them get that. But that's 3, 4, 5 down on the list after, making sure I get reelected, getting money from my district, securing my political position, doing favors for other people. Eventually you get down to winning the land war, but it's down on the list. Same way with Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare, same way with all these programs. It's you got to realize that first and foremost, the purpose of these programs is to get the people who are in favor of them reelected. That's what it's about. Well, when you go for Social Security at age 62 or Medicare at age 65, you got about 20 more years of voting going on. Are you with me on this? 20. I mean, if it's my dad, who lived to 96, well, he had 30 years and he voted. Of course he voted. You vote. Of course you do. You wouldn't not vote. They get that. So they always say Social Security, Medicare, third rail of politics, right? You don't talk about that except to expand it because you'll get fried, right? And that has been true. So how does all this work? What explains the difference between Social Security and Medicare? Right? There's an explanation for that. People need income. People need health care. Got it. But understand that these are politicians providing it. So the fact that you need income and that you need health care is 4th, 5th, or 6th on the list of why we have Social Security, why we have Medicare. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the list has to do with doing favors, getting reelected, feathering their nest. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Does this come as a surprise to anybody? Are you shocked? Oh no, politicians. They act like politicians. Oh, I had no idea. All right. You already know this. I'm just saying it. Now, what's different? What is different about Medicaid? Right? Medicaid is about 20% of the Medicaid budget goes to middle class Medicaid, goes to paying for long-term care. Why is it so different? Why is Medicaid, right? Why did they say, with Medicare, right? Medicare, you need a heart bypass, you get your you get your bypass. Dad did, quadruple bypass. Okay, you need a bypass, you get it. You need a pacemaker, you get it. You need a hip or a kidney or whatever, you get it. That's what Medicare is about. Same way with Social Security. Warren Buffett gets Social Security. Not much apparently, but he gets it. Okay? Why is Medicaid so different? Why do they strip you naked and kick you in the ass on Medicaid? Why? What is so different about it? The answer is when you get Medicaid, you're in long-term care. On average, you got 3 years left, and you're kind of out of it. All right? You're not voting, or somebody's voting for you. I mean, if you believe the reports, right? Somebody's voting for you, but it ain't you. And it's only 3 years. Whereas with Medicare, with Social Security, you got another 20 years to vote. Are you with me on this? So if you don't try not to think about it logically. What's the difference? It's all tax dollars. It's all tax dollars that you, as a middle class taxpayer, that you paid in. You paid in. All right? But it's a long-term thing with Social Security. It's a long-term thing with Medicare. But with Medicaid, you're on the way out the door, and they're more than happy to usher you out, right? And pick your pockets on the way. That's what the difference is. Because it's all general tax revenue anyway. Not all of it exactly, but most of it, for the Medicare, for the Social Security. And yes, you paid in, but you paid into the Medicaid too. So why is that so different? Why? The only difference, do people need it? Yeah, they need it. Apparently 70% of people need it. So what? So it's needed. Got it. Is it expensive? Yeah, it's expensive. Can people do it themselves? Could you write a check right now? You need a bypass. Your spouse needs a heart bypass. Could you pay for it out of your pocket? Of course not. It's a societal need, right? Like long-term care is a societal need. Okay, but they don't make you go broke before you get your heart bypass. Why do they make you go broke before you get your long-term care? Well, because with the bypass, you're going to keep on voting. With long-term care, you're not. That's the difference. And so how do we redress that balance? How do we make sure that you don't go broke in long-term care? How do we make sure that you and your spouse, your family is going to be okay, especially in the interest rate environment, the recession that's coming? How do we do all that? Give us a call, 616-774-2424. We'll give you the answer. You've been listening to The David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney.
David Carrier Show.
Welcome back to The David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Now is the time to give us a call, 616-774-2424. That's area code 616-774-2424. Looking at the sort of the big picture, right? So the question is, though, where does the rubber hit the road? All right, when you get right down to it, how do we get these benefits? I think it's really important to understand the context, right? To understand, because otherwise it all becomes incomprehensible. It's like, why would you treat it like this, and that like that? It just makes no sense. Well, it kind of does make sense when you look at the big picture. At the same time, most of what I do on a daily basis is taking the sausage that comes out of the sausage factory that is Congress and applying it in individual cases to make sure that people don't lose what they've built up. And there's all kinds of different stuff going on. And so we're going to get to some of the emails if you don't mind. Let's sort of a lightning round. Let's get these done quickly. What rights does my mom have to be in possession of her own trust? Mother recently found out that my sister removed her trust. I guess what we're talking about is the trust documents from her house and refuses to return the trust documents. Brother has been her living caregiver for many years and acting on mom's behalf requested sister return the trust. Sister adamantly refuses to do it, claiming it is her right to hold it, not my mother's. What do you recommend as a means for my mother to have her trust in her possession? Well, I don't even understand how sister's saying something like that. It's mom's trust. Let's assume that it's the typical kind of trust that people do when they're planning ahead, where mom gets to make changes to it, that kind of thing. Okay, maybe revocable, maybe irrevocable, but mom can still make changes. Okay, mom has every right to have her own documents. It's her own documents anyway. So first thing I would suggest is go back to the attorney who drew up the trust, right? Get a copy of it at least so you have that, so you can make sure that no changes were made in case something happens to mom. If we've got brother as a living caregiver for years, mom's physical health and what have you have got to be at least questionable. And if mom passes in the meantime and sister has the trust, that's unacceptable. So let's first of all get a copy of the darn thing. That would be my first step. Then, what you can do is I would call Adult Protective Services. They're in the phone book, Adult Protective Services, and just indicate that daughter has that your kid has absconded with your legal documents. They're a police agency, is what they are actually. They'll make a couple of phone calls, and I just bet you you'll be getting that trust back pretty quick. If not, you can then take it to probate court. You could go the civil route and have get a court order ordering sister to return the documents. But in any case, daughter, there's no. I'm trying to think. Is there any sort of theory under which daughter could just keep the trust and not reveal it, not give it back to the person who wrote it, not give it back to mom? Now, I'm assuming mom's competent. If mom's not competent, and the daughter who took the trust was somehow The trustee was maybe power of attorney, held the power of attorney, was what we call the attorney in fact. That's a different story, different facts, right? The confidentiality that the trustee owes to the grantor, if the trustee is the daughter, did mom do that? That's the sort of investigation that you need to do before you can say absolutely this or never that. Okay, so you need to determine that. Let's assume that the daughter who took the trust is not the trustee, is not the attorney in fact. Okay, in that case, it's just theft. I mean, you need to go after that. Let's see. My brother asked. Here's another one. My mother asked. Excusez moi. My mother asked my brother and me, please, to make some kind of written agreement with the help of a lawyer, saying we would have to live in her house within 2 hours. We would have her live in a house within 2 hours of one of us rather than a geriatric facility. Does a process like that exist for us to do that for her? So I guess mom wants reassurance that she's not going to have to go into a long-term care facility, whether it's a skilled nursing facility or an assisted living facility, and she wants the brothers to sign off on that. Well, that kind of thing is not enforceable. Let's face the facts. It's not enforceable. Now, maybe she would say, and if you ever put me in a nursing home, then, a long-term care facility, then I disinherit you. Maybe that's what's going on. It doesn't say that. But right now, that would be no. I mean, how would you enforce something like that? Could you do it? Yeah, you could do it. Would it be enforceable? Probably not. You might want your kids to sign off saying, "Hey, mom, we love you dearly, and we never put you in a long-term care facility or anywhere that isn't within 2 hours of one of us." Could you do that? Yeah, you could do it, but you could not. You really couldn't enforce it. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: people frequently, married couple especially, they promise one another, you'll never go in a long-term care facility. Okay, kids promise that to parents. I was meeting with some folks just the other day, where one of the kids is an emergency medical technician, runs around on the ambulances and stuff, and has quite a bit of contact with long-term care facility. And her position, the EMT's position, is that mom will never go to a long-term care facility. She's seen them, she doesn't like them, and that's not going to happen. Well, maybe, see, here's what's happened over there since I've been involved in this stuff, 30 years, okay? It used to be that you had kind of three levels of care. You had the at-home care, right, where people were pretty much getting around on their own, maybe had a neighbor person come in and help out. There was limited care that way. Wealthy people did the private duty nursing kind of thing, which was affordable for more people than it is now, but it was affordable for some folks anyway, the private duty nursing. Then you had assisted living, and assisted living was when people were not safe at home anymore, or you just wanted that additional level of care. The key is that to go from assisted living to the skilled nursing, generally, whether or not someone was incontinent or not, able to use the bathroom. If you were able to use the bathroom on your own, fine, assisted living for you. If you were not, then it was time for skilled nursing. And for the longest time, that was kind of the test. Are they continent? Are they able to toilet themselves? If they are, or with help, but then assisted living. If not, skilled nursing. That was kind of the break. That was the break point. That was the criteria, if you will. Well, that criteria is way out there. I mean, it's 10 years out of date, 12, 15, I don't know, a long time. Because what has happened is, as we've had, and you got to look at all the different forces that are going on here. We got the baby boomers getting older. And people, as it turns out, the statistics show, that as people hold out pretty well, taking care of themselves into their 70s. But then around age 80, there's a sea change. And that's where the additional help really skyrockets, 70s and 80s. Just obviously it's building as you go along. But it seems like late 70s, early, that's where it just, boom. That's where you see the big spikes in the need for care. And so you've got those baby boomers now are hitting those ages. Okay. And so the need for care, and this is a 10-year process, it's been a process, but there's more and more need for care, but nursing homes are extremely expensive. And so what has happened is, instead of assisted living being sort of a thing, a waypoint, if you will, now you've got 5 levels of care, like at Holland Home, 5 levels of care. At Clark Retirement, I think they've got 10 levels of care, right? All the way through the memory care units. You've heard of these, perhaps. And most of the people in there are incontinent, okay? And so that's not the test anymore. You've got a lot of services that used to be provided by skilled nursing facility are now being provided in the assisted livings. And you've got a lot of at-home care that's going on where people would be in a residential care facility. Instead, we're providing a lot more services at home, which is a very positive thing, I think. I think this is all positive. The fact that we're not putting people into nursing home unless they really, really need it, okay? And we're providing tailored care, right, that wasn't going on before. But a consequence of that is that the people in skilled nursing are the most profoundly in need. Okay, you used to have a blend. You used to have a mix of people in a skilled nursing facility, and now it tends to be only the most profoundly in need that you have in there, which is why it's so expensive to do the care for those folks. You've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, inviting you to give us a call, 616-774-2424. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. People are getting older. Care is getting more expensive. Are these surprises? If you plan ahead, things work out better for you. And people say, oh, you shouldn't plan ahead. Close your eyes to that. Worry about what happens when you're dead. All right? And forget about what happens when you're alive. Sure. Great plan, that one. Okay. These are a surprise. Don't bother with the long-term care because you'll never need it. Except the government says 70% of folks do when you're 65. And let's face it, the older you get, those percentages just go up. All right. So what are we doing here? We're trying to figure out how you not go broke. We're trying to figure out how do we guard what you have for you, for your spouse, and then if you still like the little nippers, then for the kids. All right. That's what this is. That's what this is about. And the idea that you would close your eyes and pretend that nothing bad ever happens and it'll all work out somehow. No, that is not the deal. That's not how this. I don't know. Do you think that's the deal? I mean, what in your life has ever been that? Oh yeah, we'll just all hop in the station wagon and go on vacation. Where are you going? I don't know. I didn't plan. Well, what'd you bring along with you? I don't know. Didn't plan. Is there gas in the car? Who cares? Did you change the oil recently? What do you mean oil? Okay. That's the way to do it. That's the way most people do it. This is a sad fact. Most people do it that way. This whole long-term care thing. Maybe there's a different way of doing it. Maybe, just possibly, there's a way to make sure that what you want to have happen is what happens. That's all I'm saying. Let's go back to some of our emails here. We got, I am living with my mother. I am a caregiver in that I do all the errands because she cannot drive anymore and is slow getting around now. She's 92. She wants me to have the mobile home when she passes. She's not on Medicaid. Not on Medicaid. Mom is not on Medicaid. I would add the word yet to that one. But the caregiver is on Medicaid. Disabled, I guess? I don't know. What are my options for keeping the mobile home? We have considered co-ownership or a will. Do not know what route is best, what Medicaid will allow. Also, what happens if I sell it, potentially. So here's what you want to do, would be my suggestion. If mom's healthy right now, you might think about a 5-year plan. I don't know what the mobile home's worth. You have to, all of this stuff, of course, it comes down to cost benefit. Does it make sense to do it? But I've seen, they say mobile home, but manufactured house, modular homes, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, not unusual anymore. Once upon a time they were, but not anymore. Is that the kind of value we're talking about? Are we talking about $10,000 to $15,000? Where are we? What are we talking about here? It'd be one of the things you'd want to know. Also, why is this person on the Medicaid? Is it a means-tested program? There are Medicaid programs, of 40, 50 Medicaid programs out there, right? Which one's right for you? I don't know. Depends, right? Well, in this case, is this person on a income-only qualification? Do they care whether or not you have assets? Some do, some don't. Just depends which one you're eligible for, which one makes sense for you. It may not matter that you own the mobile home. It may make all the difference in the world. Also, if mom gives you the mobile home now, then we're looking at divestment for mom. If mom needs Medicaid, as I said, she doesn't need it yet, which gets me back to, if mom's not getting around very well, you might want to think about, even now, you might want to think about the PACE program. PACE is still out there. You've heard me talk about this a million times, the program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. It's one of those things, like I was talking about before, it's one of those things that keep you at home. It's a government program. It's a Medicaid program that keeps you at home. And right now, we still have the COVID rules. How long are we going to have these COVID rules? God alone knows. We hear rumors, authoritative rumors. Rumors are rumor, I suppose, right? It's going to be over in June, last June, a month ago. It's going to be over here. It's going to be over there. I will tell you this, when it comes to the whole Medicaid thing, one of the things that you learn early on, I learned early on about Medicaid, is that you have to have it correct. You have to be right. You have to get it. You have to submit to an audit. You have to tell them absolutely everything that you did, how you did it, why you did it, and document it all. Okay? Well, those rules have been off now. The annual redeterminations have been off since COVID. Okay? Right now, the word is it's coming back in January. So we got a few months now to get. I got to tell you, in 12 months, you do the Medicaid. We do the Medicaid application, right? In 12 months, things will go sideways. People won't make the payments when they're supposed to. They'll let too much money build up in the accounts, and then you're scrambling trying to fix this after 12 months. Well, what's going to happen when we've got 24 months, when we've got 30 months? Okay? Right now, the state has been blinking at everything that's happened. They don't care. They haven't kicked anybody off. What's going to happen when they start looking at what people have been doing for the last 2.5 years? Okay, and it's COVID. I mean, people aren't thinking as clearly as they used to, maybe, not as sharp as they used to be. I guess things will get along. And once they let you get away with something, then you get away with it again. I just think we're coming for a real rocky landing when it comes to this, to the whole redetermination thing. We're reaching out. We're putting together programs now. Reach out to our folks to say, hey, the authoritative word, and who knows, they may change it again. But right now, the authoritative word is this is gonna come to a crashing halt in 2023, January 2023. Now, what will they do about it? What will Department of Health and Human Services? I don't know. They could kick everybody off. If you're in violation, they could kick you off. They've been disgorging money. It's been a torrent of money that's been coming out of the Medicaid program, unprecedented. Okay, what are they going to do? Don't know. But planning ahead, getting it right, and I see I'm almost out of time here, but we'll get to this, we'll get to the email next week. But just so important that you do it right. Come to a workshop, figure out how to get it done. Like I say, we'll be reaching out to our folks. You've been listening to The David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney.